I was holding $1 billion lottery ticket in my hand. But on the other end of the line, my boyfriend was hysterically screaming at me to get lost. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of my nightmare. Hoping to finish my last delivery of the night, I knocked on a hotel room door. When it swung open, my heart dropped. Standing there was my boyfriend, the same man who told me he was out of town on a business trip. He was standing there in nothing but a towel, and behind him, my best friend, Chloe. Both of them looked completely disheveled. For a full minute, the air in the room completely froze. I thought you were closing a deal? I stammered. You said you were too busy to even pick up the phone. So this is your career, hiding out in a hotel and messing around with her? Greg's face twisted into a snarl. He grabbed my arm and yanked me into the room, slamming the door shut behind me with a deafening thud. He didn't look guilty at all. Instead, he looked annoyed, as if my crying out was an embarrassment to him. Chloe took the opportunity to wrap her arm around his shoulder, her posture dripping with provocation. She smirked and told me she was Greg's official girlfriend and that they had been seeing each other behind my back for 7 years. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I was the fool, the one kept in the dark this whole time. Blinded by rage, I tried to lash out, but he caught my wrist in a vice-like grip. Greg didn't just admit he never loved me. He looked me in the eye and told me I was nothing to him. He said the only reason he stayed was to use me as a walking ATM. Without my money, he wouldn't have put up with me for a single second. Tears streamed down my face like a broken necklace. I screamed, demanding to know why they would treat me this way. Then, Chloe delivered the final blow. I was just an uneducated delivery girl to them. Every cent of the hard-earned money I made working day and night was immediately spent on her designer bags and luxury gifts. I was breaking my back for them, and they were bleeding me dry. The fury made my skin crawl. I lunged at them, ready to lose everything just to take them down with me. But Greg, with his brute strength, shoved me hard, sending me crashing to the floor. Before I could move, he struck me across the face, leaving me reeling and my mind blank. In that moment, he seemed to lose all humanity. He continued to strike me, aiming for my most vulnerable spots while I curled into a ball on the cold floor, sobbing in total despair. I had spent years thinking that if I just worked hard enough, we'd have a beautiful wedding. I had dropped out of college to support his education, riding my delivery bike through sub-zero winds even on New Year's Eve. Now, the dream was over. 7 years of my youth were nothing but a tragedy. Once they had exhausted themselves, they finally stopped, leaving me slumped on the floor like a discarded rag. I asked him, trembling, if he wasn't afraid of what his parents back in the village would think. I was the one who saved every penny to bring them to the city, the one who nursed them and took care of their every need day and night. Greg just let out a mocking laugh. He told me all their kindness was a lie meant to keep me under their thumb. If they hadn't played along, they wouldn't have had a free maid to wait on them hand and foot. At that moment, my world completely shattered. It couldn't be true. There was no way their love for me was an act. To prove it, Greg snorted and dialed his mother on speakerphone. He arrogantly announced to her that he had finally dumped that girl. I'm done acting. I'm bringing Chloe home to meet you guys. Greg shouted into the phone. To my horror, his mother didn't just agree, she cheered. Her only concern was who would be there to clean up after them and send them money now that I was gone. Greg boasted that he had just closed a $2 million deal. He claimed he'd hire 10 professional maids who would be far more refined than a low-class delivery girl like me. On the other end, the woman I thought was my future mother